Greg Hardy versus Maurice Greene takes place this weekend on the main card of UFC Fight Night Vegas 12, Hall versus Silva, and what an amazing heavyweight matchup we've got here. Right now at heavyweight, there are a bunch of guys climbing their way to the top. Greg Hardy is another one of those guys, and Maurice Greene stands in his way, the crochet boss. Dangerous guy, one eye on his opponent, one eye on the Nelk boys. You never know what Maurice Greene's going to do next, but still, Greg Hardy coming off a big win against Yorgan De Castro. Some say big win, I say a good win. I don't think it was a huge win for him now that we've seen Yorgan De Castro go out there and get beaten by Carlos Felipe. That was a bad performance as well, but Greg Hardy showed in that fight that he can adjust when things aren't going his way. Yorgan De Castro was chewing up his legs. He eventually adjusted thanks to DC telling him about it, which I think is a huge problem in MMA. I don't know why, under these current situations, the commentary is not put in an own separate room so the fighters can't hear them breaking down the game plan of their opponents non-stop. I feel like every single time we get out of the corner, DC is telling the two fighters exactly what the other fighter's coach said in the corner. It makes no sense whatsoever, but still, Yorgan De Castro fight was good for Greg Hardy. Picked him apart over 3 rounds. Just stayed a little bit more active in there, even whilst getting his leg chewed up in the early round. Before that, had a fight with Alexander Volkov, which I thought was an amazing performance, even in a loss. Showed up on short notice to that fight, wanted to redeem himself after letting the company down by using an inhaler in the middle of the Ben Sassoli fight, which got overturned to a no contest. But in my opinion, he didn't need the inhaler. He didn't really look like he was slowing down too much. He made a mistake. They said it was this. They said it was that. So he used the inhaler. Little bit of a communication breakdown went on. There was a little bit of a problem there between the two of them talking to each other. Greg Hardy uses an inhaler, but I still consider the Ben Sassoli fight as basically a win. And that's a win against a good guy who was 7-2, 5-1, Juan Adams. Even though it seems like Greg Hardy is taking on bums, which I do believe he is, because they're not too skilled. These are still really credentialed heavyweights. Not really credentialed, but they have a good resume behind them. It's not like Greg Hardy's taking on guys who are like 2-2 in the UFC, or some guy who's 4-1 just joining the UFC. Like 7-2 Ben Sassoli, 30-7 Alexander Volkov, and he did a good fight. He had a good fight in there as well. Even broke his hand against Alexander Volkov, or maybe slightly damaged his wrist, but kept going, landed good shots, did not get KO'd in front of Volkov, and now we've seen how good Volkov is with his last performance against Walt Harris. Had a great showing against Juan Adams, who was 5-1 at the time. A great showing against Dmitry Smolyakov, who, you know, interesting part-time lifeguard, but still a 9-2 heavyweight that would rather have both his show and win bonus. So he wanted to win the fight, but Greg Hardy went out there, got it done. As bad as Smolyakov looked, Alan Crowder, he was doing good in that fight as well. Lost that fight via a legal knee because he blasted one up the middle. That's just a little bit of inexperience. But before that, beat Rasheem Jones, who was 1-1. But beat a guy in Tabaris Gordon in his second ever fight who was 3-0, and also beat a guy in Austin Lane who was 4-0 in his debut. Like, these are not bad guys. If the UFC wanted to can feed Greg Hardy, they could have done a way better job of doing it. But Greg Hardy steps up to the competition, beat a guy in amateurs who was 3-1 as well, had a bit of an amateur career. So I like the experience on Greg Hardy's side right now. He seems like he's coming into his own. You've got Maurice Greene in the other corner though, coming off a win against Gian Villante. I guess you could say it was a win. Tapology doesn't even know what the choke is called, because no one knows what the choke is called, because the choke should be called a cholesterol breakdown, because Gian Villante literally was so morbidly obese and blood pressure heavy that he just tapped out due to him being under cardiac arrest, I believe, in the guard of Maurice Greene. He was doing a good job in that fight as well. And Gian Villante showed up to that Maurice Greene fight, which is something I do want to mention. Even though Maurice Greene looked good in the first and second round of that fight, Gian Villante, the type of Villante that showed up to fight Maurice Greene, that should be a gimme fight for Maurice Greene. I don't know how he didn't just completely school Gian Villante, because anyone showing up in that kind of shape and looking like Gian Villante did in the first and second round is getting destroyed by any reasonably good heavyweight. Tanner Bosa does not let Gian Villante out of that first round. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys at the heavyweight. Tom Aspinall does not let Gian Villante out of that first round if he shows up looking like that. That's a fact, in my opinion. Even though we don't know this in the future, I still consider it a fact. Okay? There are a lot of guys that are real legit heavyweights. Cyril Game, I don't know, probably would toy around with Gian Villante, but it would no way near be competitive. Maurice Greene has been competitive with guys that I feel like he should be beating. If you're going to tell me you're going to beat Greg Hardy, went in there against Albini. That's the best win of his career, Junior Albini. You know what I'm saying? Won some fights on The Ultimate Fighter, lost in the final of The Ultimate Fighter against Juan Espino. Looked good in The Ultimate Fighter though, but there was some things in The Ultimate Fighter show, aside from his performances, that really worried me about Maurice Greene, okay? As much as I like him doing his crochet in the middle of the Ultimate Fighter season, there was something else that he was doing on that show, and that was drinking and crying and getting emotional like every single Ultimate Fighter contestant. They just have to let everyone know, every single family member that they've had die. I don't understand why that is a thing, but on the Ultimate Fighter, there's always one or two people on the show that have to have a mental breakdown in the middle of it. I don't understand, but you know what? Makes for good television, I guess, even though it doesn't because it's a dying show. Put Masvidal versus Covington as the next Ultimate Fighter, please, but still. Maurice Greene is not that good in my opinion. He's pretty defensively unsound. He's got a little bit of the James Vick defense going on. Both of these guys tall for the division. 6'7" for Maurice Greene, 6'5" for Greg Hardy with equal reach as well. Maurice Greene going to want to find his way on the inside against a guy who's got equal reach to him, the shorter than him. That's going to be a little bit of a problem. I always favour a guy who's smaller with a longer reach or equal reach to the guy who's bigger because they can do more with that reach. And in my opinion, Greg Hardy's going to win this fight. And I said in my full card prediction video, Hardy would win this fight by decision. I take that back. I think Greg Hardy's going to catch Maurice Greene in the first round because Maurice Greene is there to be caught in the first round. Okay, I look at some more of these stats though. Strikes landed per minute, Greg Hardy outlands him. Striking accuracy, 48% Greg Hardy, 44% Maurice Greene, which is weird considering Maurice Greene almost only throws oblique kicks, which are pretty impossible to miss against Gian Villante plodding towards you, but still, Greg Hardy absorbs way less strikes per minute as well, and also has a much greater defense, 58% to 47%. I think he's going to rely on that here, the defense that he showed against Volkov to not get KO'd. Fair enough, he was getting hit by Volkov, but there's a level of defense, and this is the Tony Ferguson defense, where it doesn't have to miss. You just have to do enough defensive technique to stop yourself from being finished, and Tony Ferguson's good at that. Greg Hardy showed a little bit of a Walmart version, as you Americans would say, of some Tony Ferguson defense. He rolls with punches quite well. He seems to understand range quite well as well. I think he'll go out there and get the job done against Maurice Greene. Maurice Greene, not the longest reach for a man his size, but I think he's going to come up against a guy his size, his speed, not morbidly obese like Gian Villante plodding towards him, trying to throw the same inside leg kick over and over and over again. This guy's going to be throwing shots back, and I think that Greg Hardy is going to win this fight by a lead hook as Maurice Greene goes for one of his oblique kicks. I've noticed it time and time again in Maurice Greene fights. He seems to get caught by stuff whenever he throws some of those kicks. He got caught by Gian Villante doing that. He got caught by Sergey Pavlovich trying to do that kind of stuff as well. He got caught by Alexei Olenek a couple times, but of course, Alexei Olenek eventually took that to the ground and smushed him there like Alexei Olenek does. You know how it is with Alexei Olenek. He's just going to choke you out. No big deal. But Jeff Hughes as well. Split decision. Small tubster. Lost to Juan Espino, got completely dominated. I feel like Greg Hardy is among the Tanner Bosas, the Tom Aspinalls. Maybe not quite there yet. We'll find out with this performance, I guess. But I think he's closer to that level of heavyweight than Maurice Greene is. And 9-5 as a record really does kind of show that, in my opinion. Lost to Jeff Hughes before in his career. Lost to a bunch of guys in kickboxing as well. He's been KO'd in kickboxing twice so far in his career. So there's a lot of KO losses on Maurice Greene's resume that you would not notice unless you did your research. In kickboxing bouts, he lost to Anderson Silva, by the way, by decision. No hard feelings there because it's Anderson Silva, but that's pretty interesting to see. Chi Laris Barry, which is a UK fighter, by the way, KO'd him with a right uppercut in the second round. Catalin Morosanu KO'd him with a punch in the second round as well, so there's a lot more than meets the eye. No pun intended, because of the eyes. Anyway, those fucking eyes, I swear to God. They could terrify a man. Anyway, Maurice Greene has been KO'd plenty of times in his career, even though it doesn't seem that way. He even basically got KO'd against Juan Espino, dropped massively, took a bunch of damage against Gian Villante as well in his last performance. I feel like Greg Hardy's going to go out there, chin this guy straight away. He's taken a good amount of time off, and something I like about Greg Hardy is that he hasn't rushed his career. He's waited. He doesn't seem in any rush to get right back in there as soon as he gets a win. He takes his time, he makes sure that he improves, and if he wins this fight against Maurice Greene, in my opinion, you're looking at a one-way route to the top, because there's a lot of guys, maybe the winner of Greg Hardy versus Maurice Greene could take on the winner of Arlovski versus Tanner Bosa. I thought that would be a great matchup. There's another bunch of guys in the heavyweight division as well. Maybe we do Blagoy Ivanov versus Shamil Abdurakhimov. The winner of that one can take on the winner of Greg Hardy, Maurice Greene. A bunch of fun matchups to make. I just think Greg Hardy's going to catch this guy square on his chin, because I've been watching some Maurice Greene fights and they are worrying me. And when I watched the Hardy versus Volkov fight, I saw that Hardy can be on that level. Yeah, and I know that Volkov didn't particularly look good against Hardy either, and even looked better, in my opinion, against Walt Harris, but still. Greg Hardy looked good against Alexander Volkov, was landing clean shots, like he landed a few clean right hands off of the jab of Volkov. Volkov would throw a jab, he'd slip on the inside, land a right hand over the top. I mean, Greg Hardy looked good in that fight. Also, lead hooks in that fight as well, which I think is going to be the finishing ability in this one. Volkov was trying to throw his front kicks, his little teeps to the legs as well. Greg Hardy threw a 2 lead hook combo in the first round, landed both of them clean, landed a few other ones in that fight as well. He looked good. I'm going to go with Greg Hardy. I think that the lead hooks that Hardy found a way to time on Alexander Volkov, he will find a way to time them on Maurice Greene. And Maurice Greene has a much worse striking game than Alexander Volkov by far, in my opinion. I actually, as far as I said a decision, I'm going to go with Greg Hardy by TKO in the first round. I think he goes out there and makes a statement. And although I said I value that Greg Hardy is taking his time, I'd like to see him rush a bit now, because as much as I like Greg Hardy, he is 32 years of age, and although heavyweights can go until they're like 45, it feels like nowadays, I do want to see him start picking things up. I don't want to see another 5-month break. Maybe we'll keep it to 4 months next time. Let's have maybe 2 more in 20... Maybe 1 more this year, and then 1 more to kick off 2021 in January, February, maybe on the McGregor card in January. That would be ideal, turn around after 3 months, but still, I think Hardy's going to get the job done, has looked good in his performances and seems to be improving every single time, and also has more to improve on as well. Maurice Greene has the range, doesn't seem to be able to use it as much as he would like to, got dropped badly by Gian Villante, and I also feel like Greg Hardy's going to have a lot of success kicking at the legs of Maurice Greene, who sits pretty heavy on them. A lot of the stuff he throws are simple 1-2s, right down the pipe, postures right on his lead leg. You saw Gian Villante go to the inside kick multiple times against him to throw off his balance, eventually leading to the big shot upstairs. I think Greg Hardy comes out, heavy feinting, moving around massively, which is something that Villante didn't do, but he was still able to land big shots on Maurice Greene, a taller, rangier guy. Moving on the inside, I think Hardy chops away at the inside leg kick, gives Maurice Greene a thing to worry about. When Maurice Greene starts lifting up his lead leg to throw some of those oblique kicks or front kicks to the body or teeps, I think Hardy's going to catch him with a lead hook over the top. Finish the fight in the first round by KO. And that's my official prediction for the fight. Good one, though. I'm looking forward to it. And we'll see if Greg Hardy can pass the test. Because Maurice Greene, although his record is 9-5, he did beat Junior Albini. Jeff Hughes, even though it was a split decision and could have gone either way, it was a 10-1 guy. These are good fighters that Maurice Greene has been able to beat. But I just don't see the level that I see in Greg Hardy and Maurice Greene. It's a little bit of a problem to me. Like and subscribe. Click that button up there. And goodbye. Toodle pip.